Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. The Nepal government has said that more than 7,700 people were killed in the April 25th earthquake and more than 16,000 others injured. Up to 300 people, and many of them foreigners, are believed to still be buried there by an avalanche set off by the 7.8 earthquake, as well as the aftershocks. Now, SABC News team Njanji Chauke as well as Herbert Memela travelled to Nepal with a Gift of the Givers aid organisation, and they returned from there yesterday. They're here with us in studio now to give us more information about the situation in that country. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
How is the jet lag?
Yes, jet lag. We couldn't even wake up this morning because of the time zone. There's almost 5-hour difference and all that. And, coming back, we went through 3 time zones from Nepal via Dubai and then to South Africa. But otherwise, we were fine.
Occupational hazards, ne?
Yeah.
Some of us are safe here in the studio, but you go out in the ground in devastation. We're going to speak about some of the other places where you went to. I know Haiti and the Philippines as well, following the typhoon there. You've covered that. But let's speak specifically now about Nepal. There were some aftershocks when you went there. So it was a reality that you could be injured, and yet you went there nonetheless. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I think when an assignment like this breaks somewhere in the world, I remember on that Saturday evening when the story broke, I couldn't sleep. Even though now I'm in the assignments desk as an assignment editor, but my journalism instinct just kicked. I wanted to be out there. So when this story happened, you want to be out there. Then that evening I started making calls to check if there was any South African organization that was going to help with rescue operations. And obviously Gift of the Givers, due to the role that they've played worldwide in terms of assisting in disasters, were the first organization that I knew they will definitely be going there. So we ended up going with them to go and cover the story.
Herbert, you are behind the camera, and we know how visuals can speak. Sometimes you hear of the devastation, but until you see the destruction on TV, it's very difficult to hit home. Talk to us about how it was for you to capture those images of utter heartbreak.
For me, getting there was not a problem, because I can say I'm used to dead bodies, but the only part that affected me, you remember it, John?
Yeah, it was
the cremation.
Yeah.
That's the part where I was really touched, because I've never seen something like that. It was for the first time seeing something like that.
Are you able
so
to
many
give us more
bodies
information?
being cremated. They use wood, and what else do they use? It's wood. The body is covered. You see the body covered. They put it on top of wood, and then they bend the wood. When the body bends, everyone is watching. You could see like about 10, 20 bodies
lining up, waiting to be burned as well. Because I suppose it was also a culture shock for us. Even though South Africa is a very cosmopolitan, diverse country, but for us just to see it, we're seeing it right there. People being cremated, families crying, obviously having lost their loved ones. I remember when we got there at the temple, he couldn't film. I said, you know what, let's put our feelings aside. It's difficult to put your feelings aside, but I said, we have to get this. We have
at
to
some
capture
stage,
this.
I mounted the camera, and when I was ready to take a shot, I was like,
I can't
do this.
The sights, the sounds, the smell.
The smell.
The
first thing
families.
was the smell. Yeah. And most of them don't cry. I don't know whether they get used to this idea of cremating, but for us it was just different. The smell is something else.
There were also some hurdles along the way, we understand, for Gift of the Givers. When they arrived there initially, they couldn't come with all of their supplies all at once. So there was a couple of days where you just had to wait and couldn't help as much as you'd like to. Speak to us about some of those.
Yeah, because we flew via Singapore, and then I think the priority was to get the humanitarian aid, things like medication to the people that were affected by the earthquake. So in Singapore, they had to... most of our bags had to be left there because we had to make space for the medication and other important supplies. And then including our bags, our luggage, they had to be left there. Probably most of the viewers saw me on TV wearing the same T-shirt because we didn't have the clothes with us, for a couple of 3 to 4 days, And then I think other challenges, normally Gift of the Givers, when they go on a mission like this, they are given priority as a South African organization. But this time time around, it was very difficult. There's too much red tape, and then, you know, we're talking here about also the politics of national disasters. I mean, Nepal is this tiny country, sandwiched between China and India. Those two countries really positioning themselves, because in disasters there's money to be made as well. You know, if a country is going to be rebuilt, you have to have bricks, you have to have material, and then they make sure that their people are there first, and then they're given priority in terms of going to the areas that have been hit most by the earthquake.
My goodness, we can go on and on and on with this conversation, because you touched on something quite interesting, the politics of aid. Yes. And that's an interview and a discussion all on its own. But gentlemen, thank you so much, because you go there and you bring us the reality. We sit passively and we watch because of all your hard work. And behind the scenes, we did not know that it was so chaotic for you, but we do appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us this morning, especially since you are so jet-lagged. Waking up must have been a bit of a mission. We'll have to leave it there, at least for now, and take a quick ad break.